Hi, I'm Michael Marin, President and CEO of Holy Name Medical Center. At Holy Name, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the healthcare issues that affect their lives. That's why we're proud to support important healthcare programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by the Turrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the New Jersey Education Association, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. Healing begins here. The North Ward Center, and by New Jersey Resources. Promotional support provided by Meadowlands Chamber, building connections, driving business growth. And by NJ.com, small news, big news, true Jersey.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It is our pleasure to welcome for the first time on our set Marc Demetriou.
Thank you.
Who is the author of a book called Lessons from My Grandfather, Wisdom for Success in Business and Life. Good to see you, Marc.
Nice to see you as well. Thank you.
Tell us about your grandfather.
Just a fantastic individual. I was very blessed to have him in my life for 37
Charlie?
years. Charlie, yes. And to make it real simple, he left Cyprus at 16 to get ahead in life. Had a dream to be something, not be poor.
Where did he come from?
Cyprus. Left
did.
Cyprus 16, middle of the night on a vessel. Came to America 1929. Started shining shoes. And
Heck of a year to come.
that was the most amazing year and the most difficult year in itself, because when he came here, it was 3 weeks after the stock market crash, yeah. So started shining shoes, hitting the ground running.
Where?
On the streets of New York. And,
What part of Manhattan? Was it Manhattan?
Yeah, just the middle to midtown, just midtown area. You know, where he really started. He had an apartment with 6 other Greek guys. He was one of 7 in the apartment. Slept one night a week on a bed, the other nights on the floor, and just kept going forward.
When did he, my grandfather from Avellino, Italy.
Right. No, you're Italian.
Luigi Calvello, God rest his soul, used to sit and talk to me about life in his own way.
Wow.
And he came here in 1919. When did your grandfather start talking to you about life?
So I was very blessed, because when he retired at 60, I was just about born at that time. So for 37 years, he was my grandfather, but my best friend and mentor. So literally, his entire existence while I was here was literally about talking to me about what he went through, clipping out newspaper articles. He'd read 3 papers a day, anything to do with business or family or investments. He was like my angel, my mentor, but all through life, nonstop. Really amazing.
Did you know what was happening? What was happening? Because one of the principles, there are 15 principles in the book,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
One of them I want to talk about, and I'm curious, when he said this to you, if you knew something powerful was happening, he said, quote, attitude is everything.
Yeah, that was my most
powerful quote. What do you mean by that?
Because just the way you take on life, every aspect of life, when you get up till you go to bed, is your attitude. You look at attitude towards everything, your relationship, your business, your family, how you take on life, how you perceive life. Attitude's powerful.
Did he say that to you, or did he just live it?
No, he lived it, and he would say to me, he would say just clearly this, Mark, you know, your attitude is everything in life, and how you take on life is really how you want to handle everything that comes about you, or how you handle people in general. So it was always about powerfulness of that word, attitude.
What about the whole idea of give 100% of yourself?
Yeah, he was always about being excellent. Be excellent at what you do. Be humble, always be humble, but be excellent, and be proud of what you do, and proud of who you are. You know, he used to tell me when he was shining shoes on the streets of New York, he was proud of the honor of working, the labor that itself was giving an opportunity to make money and help people shine their shoes. And he was happy every week when they'd come back. And he started realizing that do a good job, be happy, and people like that. And he really took pride in that, just from that starting point.
Curious about this, because the next one is about taking mighty risks. How much of a risk to come to this country?
Oh, his life. He said at 16, he literally decided to leave in the middle of the night, worked out with a merchant shipper to feed the animals for a free ride to Greece. His parents didn't know he was leaving, but found out through the villagers. His dad did, came to the island, the dock, and said, son, I know why you're leaving. It's okay, you have my blessing in my heart, make us proud. And he went off on his way. His father told the mother in the morning that he had left. That was the decision to say, I will die trying or stay here. That was more powerful than I could ever imagine in my life, and that's why I've always worked to excel at who I am, because he did that. It's a big, powerful message.
Risks.
Yeah.
Has it influenced the risks you've taken in your professional and personal life?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I think just in general, as an entrepreneur, I've taken a lot of risks, you know, in business. You work hard and believe in yourself, but, you know, the big message there is having faith. He had powerful faith in himself and belief around him. Whatever God you believe in or not, just that power of faith. He always felt there was an angel on his shoulder. He was a good person, good soul, and he went through life that way. So I feel with me as well, whatever risks I've taken or obstacles I've overcome, we all have hardships and things have happened, but it's that faith, that belief in yourself and to be the best you can be. And be excellent.
Faith. Is there a religious piece to that?
It's both components. You know, you cannot be religious but have faith in yourself, faith and belief that things will be okay, that things will work out. That's powerful faith, and the belief in God or whatever you believe in as well, just a higher being, higher power. I think both are powerful.
I'm curious about something. My wife and I have this conversation a lot about passion, and we'll talk about the degree of passion that some of us feel for our work and others do not. Is it challenging for you to be as passionate as you are and be around others who are not?
That's funny because I don't look at it ever that way. That's interesting to put it that way. I am a very passionate person.
Clearly.
You know? Yeah. And one of my chapters is purpose and passion, clearly. But I don't ever have that situation where someone will be like, wow, you're too passionate for me, or just, calm down. It's how I am. If anything, I think it's addicting. And it actually allows people to take on some of that juice and say, wow, I'm really charged up being around you. So I think it's wonderful, the message I've gotten from people in that way.
Describe your business.
So I'm in the mortgage business for about 13 years. That's my day job. I enjoy it, help a lot of people. I'm licensed on the East Coast, and that's what I love to do right now. And I've been in other careers. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. But, the real exciting thing is the speaking that I do on stages in high schools and colleges and the book now. It's really an exciting opportunity to share my mentor with the world. That's why I wrote the book, to give him back to the world.
For folks who are losing faith, for folks who say, hey, listen, it is what it is, and I'm not going to change very much, the cards are stacked. They believe that. You say what to them right now?
I tell them that's the fallacy. I tell them what I want you to do is look yourself in the mirror and decide what you want to do with life. Decide you want to change. Decide that where you are today does not determine your destiny. Every place you are in your life, every position you are, wherever you're born, in money or no money, it may be harder for some people to start out, but I truly believe we're on this earth for a reason and everybody has a gift. They may not find that gift, and that's a shame, even go to the deathbed with it. But I truly believe everyone has a gift. And what I tell people that are in those situations, take life in buckets. Take each bucket separately, your relationship, your business, your kids, your family, whatever it may be. Take one at a time and conquer that. Decide what you need to do to get better. Almost like a mini business plan. But it takes time, sacrifice, and commitment. And there's a lot of other hard words in there, but you need to make the change. You want to make the change instead of complaining.
Your book is a powerful tribute to your grandfather and to all of us who are so influenced by grandparents who came from another country, who came to this great country,
right,
for a quote-unquote better life.
Right.
But they weren't given very much. They went and took it.
Right.
So I want to thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well done.
My pleasure.
Okay. Stay with us. We're right back.
Thanks.
Right after this.
To watch more Caucus New Jersey, find us online and follow us on social media.
Welcome, folks. This is an important conversation we're having about the most vulnerable, infants and toddlers. It is a series we've been doing called Right from the Start, NJ, in New Jersey. But we weren't the first. There are some folks, our great friends up in Vermont, who have been at this for a while, and I'm honored to introduce Aly Richards, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Permanent Fund for Vermont's Children, and Rick Davis, President of the Permanent Fund for Vermont's Children. This is part of an ongoing conversation we've been having with you. We've worked together up in Vermont through the cooperation, the help of the Terrell Fund. Aly, let me ask you, you were talking about do the brain thing again, 80 and 90%, 0 to 3, and then 0 to 5?
Exactly. 80% of the architecture of your brain formed by age 3, 90% by age 5.
Okay, so what are you finding in terms of quality child care progress you've made in Vermont? Because you said that's one of the keys to dealing with this. And why are there lessons for New Jersey,
Sure,
for us and everyone else, and the nation?
Absolutely. So what we're finding, let me paint you a picture of Vermont, because
Sure,
it's similar to the rest of the country. 7 out of 10 kids under 6 in Vermont have all available parents in the workforce. So this crucial, most crucial time in their development, where are they? They are not simply at home anymore. It's a change that we've seen in our society. And of that 70% of kids, only 50% have access to any regulated childcare. So here's the challenge. And 80% of our infants and toddlers, those that need it the most in Vermont, have no access to high quality childcare. We're not getting into affordability even with that, which is, you could say, none of it is affordable for a family. Families in Vermont pay upwards of 40% of their household income. 40%.
What's the
Much
national
more than
average?
other needs. It's very similar. And what we know is 61% of kids across the country have all available parents in the workforce, according to the census. So it's very similar to what we're seeing in Vermont to the rest of the country.
But let me play devil's advocate here. There are some watching who say, wow, gee, that's terrible for these kids. But you know, my kid's good. I have great quality childcare for my kid. Why is this an issue for all people in Vermont, all people in New Jersey, and frankly, everyone in this country to care about?
Well, first of all, it's really important for every child to have a healthy environment in which to grow up. And so not all kids have that. And so, but it does benefit every kid. So if even you talk to families who are staying home with their children, they still want those kids out there having opportunities to interact and have good social emotional development with other children. So it provides that environment for that. But I say it also is important for businesses, and it's an economic imperative, because what parents are doing when they can't afford childcare, they're having to cobble together whatever they can to find places for their children to be while they're working. And so productivity goes down. And we know that, for example, in the U.S., there's a study saying $4 billion a year was lost in productivity. 74% of women who voluntarily leave the workforce cite childcare as the reason. They couldn't afford childcare. So it really is important for business and being able to retain employees. It's important for every family to be able to make sure that their kids are in a safe and healthy environment.
And Aly, in this regard, advocacy has been a big part of the Vermont initiative. Advocacy about we know what, but to whom and to what effect?
Exactly. At the Permanent Fund, we basically tackle this narrow challenge, but it's still huge. We've decided what's the most ambitious but achievable goal that we believe will have the greatest impact on the future of our state.
Who's the target audience?
Everyone. And
state legislators.
State legislature, but we need to build a movement to move all of our influencers and policymakers. So what we've done is basically tackle this on two fronts. And I think that's one of the key pieces just on strategy that can be replicated elsewhere. We're building a movement. At the same time, we're building the model. And so what does that mean? Let's Grow Kids is our movement. It's a public awareness advocacy campaign. Exactly.
That's the name of
That's the campaign.
That's the
exactly.
campaign.
And we have over 20,000 Vermonters strong involved in some way. And remember, we're a small state with a small population.
Sure, that's a big number.
It's a big number. And what we're doing is social media, paid media, earned media. We're training up Vermonters to tell their own story about childcare. They are the front of this movement, and they're going to be the ones demanding change. Because as Rick said, when we get this right, we all benefit. It is all of our children. We have to approach it in that way. So we need to be able to say we're going to change public policy and increase public investment forever. At the same time, though, we're actually in the field, on the ground. Vermont Birth to 5.
Vermont Birth to 5.
And there are parallel sort of initiatives that work on the movement for this permanent change with public policy and public investment. At the same time, we're actually increasing the quality, the amount, and sort of the efficiency of childcare today on the ground.
So give us some advice here in New Jersey. We've been at this for about a year.
Here's what
so.
I would do, because Abe Lincoln said, with public sentiment, nothing can fail, and without it, nothing can succeed.
That's right.
So you will not be successful, or at least as
with
successful.
Right from the Start, NJ.
Absolutely, unless you have the public behind you. If you're after a certain policy, especially policy around funding, you've got to have your citizens behind you 100%.
Well, hold on, devil's advocate here. We're in the media. We're in public broadcasting. We don't, quote, advocate. Yeah. But we have people who do advocate, and they're part of it, advocates for Children of New Jersey, a great organization, and others. So if we're sitting there going, do this, do that. No, you can go to our website and find out more.
But that's such a good point, Steve.
Go ahead.
So what
because you have public broadcasting involved as well up in Vermont.
We do, but Aly and I aren't going to get this done for Vermont. The Permanent Fund's not going to get it done, but it's the Vermonters that are going to get it done. It's our champions out there. We call them our bright spots. So my advice to New Jersey is you recognize the value of your champions. And what you do is you identify who out there is really prepared to lead, and you support them, and you promote them, and then you leverage the power of those champions, and then champions spread and build more champions. Both, it could be moms or grandparents, or it could be pediatricians or CEOs of businesses, and you want to support them, and they become your movement, and they lead the movement for you. You're facilitating. You're not doing the work yourself. You're facilitating and enhancing that movement.
And by the way, it's a good way to describe it. By the way, if you go on our website that you'll see right now on the air, you'll see a series of interviews. We just interviewed the President of the State Senate, Steve Sweeney, on this for the second time on these issues. We had the chair of the Senate Health Committee, Joe Vitale. We had the lieutenant governor. We'll have the governor, Governor Murphy, on talking about this. We talked about it during the campaign with him and his Republican opponent. When we have the governor back, we'll talk about that, and a whole range of other people in the legislature. But that's only a piece of it, right, Aly?
Absolutely. You need the movement to move policymakers. But as Rick said, CEOs are a part of this. The business community is part of this. This could be the single greatest workforce development issue we've ever seen.
Everyone's affected.
Everyone. And so we need everyone to play a role in that. And in Vermont, we're starting to see CEOs step up and say, I see that how this affects my bottom line, and I need to be part of the solution.
Oh, I also saw the governor. When we had that conference up in Vermont last summer.
Governor Scott.
Not last summer, just only a few months ago.
Yeah.
Governor Scott actually was there, spoke. That's impressive.
We're a tiny state, Steve, 650,000 people. And so Governor Scott, when he first started running for governor, we met with him. And he really didn't have a clue about childcare. And so at the end of the campaign, just before the election, he came into our office with Aly and the team, and he wanted to know all he could learn about childcare. And he said, you know what, every place I've gone on the campaign trail, everybody's saying we need to do something about high quality, affordable childcare. We can't find it. He heard it from business people and moms and everything. So that was part of the Let's Grow Kids campaign, by the way, that got people at every single one of those campaign events. But in any case, he put it in his inaugural address, in his budget address, and he's still with us on this. And
Changing policy.
Leadership matters. Leadership makes a difference.
Well, the Permanent Fund for Vermont's children, helping all of us understand how to have the impact that we all want to have for not just our children by blood, but the children that we're responsible for. It is everyone's issue. And the promise that we'll make at the Caucus Educational Corporation is we'll continue to collaborate with you. I look forward to the next conference again up in Vermont. I'll be there. We'll be videotaping, filming as well for more broadcast. And thank you for teaching us, particularly those who are part of the Right from the Start NJ movement. Thank you so much.
Great, Steve.
Appreciate you coming all the way down from Vermont.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
To see more Caucus New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're joined by Jeff Rosenberg, Dr. Jeff Rosenberg, physician of sports medicine and family practice at Summit Medical Group. Good to see you, doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk concussions.
Okay.
We were talking right before we got on the air that one of our boys is dealing with that right now, is concussion protocol. Our daughter plays soccer, one of the girls in our team, concussion protocol. What's a concussion? What's the protocol, and why does it matter?
So a concussion itself is injury to the brain and to the skull, although you can have them from just a collision where you don't have an actual hit to the head, like a whiplash injury from a car. But it's an injury to the brain that affects the way the brain functions and affects the blood flow into the brain, which are one of the reasons why recovery is so hard. But anybody who's had kind of a collision or a head injury and then has a group of symptoms, which usually include headaches, but also can have physical symptoms like nausea or dizziness, being really tired and wanting to sleep all the time, having problems in school as far as concentration or focus or memory, and there's also a lot of psychological impact, including some depression or anxiety that often will kick in with folks who have concussions.
How many kids are we talking about?
We think about 50,000 concussions a year occur in kids under the age of 20 from sports and play. Nationwide, it's more about 3 million altogether when you count adults as well with work injuries and car accidents.
Does everyone get treated in some emergency room or some medical facility?
Hopefully not. Most people have simple concussions where they don't feel great, but they're not in a severe neurological status, can usually stay home. Going to emergency room usually buys you a CAT scan, which you may or may not really need, but is useful if there is worsening symptoms. So if you're kind of feeling pretty well, but within a few hours you get really, really sleepy to the point where you can't wake up, or you're really confused or don't remember things, or if there's persistent vomiting, those would all be reasons where a visit to the emergency room would be very useful.
So what's the protocol? Because I know our son had to go through a whole bunch of tests over a period of time. He's in the middle of us, we're speaking.
Yes. The protocol that most athletes deal with is once they're cleared by a physician and they're all better from their concussion, then they start this process where you start to return to exercise 3 or 4 days in a row. Every day is a little bit more intense as far as heart rate and getting the blood pressure up into the brain to make sure the symptoms still are resolved and
Why
that you
is it
still
too
feel well.
risky to come back too soon?
Well, if you come back too soon and you get another injury while you're still recovering from your first, that's when really bad things happen. So usually 10 kids a year die in America from what's called a second impact syndrome or some...
Second impact syndrome.
Right. So that's if you have a concussion, you're not fully recovered and you get another injury, the blood vessels then into the brain kind of open up quite quickly and you have this very severe increase in blood pressure. Usually involves coma and death. So even last month, a kid on the field in Atlanta, Georgia.
Please tell me I'm
player.
talking football.
Yeah, football player. Guy died on the field, had a cardiac arrest after having an injury. So some deaths on the field are not from second impacts. They can be from the first one if it's severe enough, but that's fairly rare.
Doctor, I want to ask you this. I mean, again, it's not really about our kid. It's about all of us who
kids,
are trying to protect our kids as
Yeah.
best we can. I didn't want our son to play football.
Right.
But he went to the training and went through the process.
Right.
And so he did.
Right.
Is it a mistake for those of us who are parents to allow our children to play football?
I think that's very much a family and individual decision. Certainly we know there are risks of football. There's also a lot of benefits, right? You get a good workout, you got a team.
He's made a lot of friends. He's
Yeah, a
learned
lot
how
of
to be disciplined. He works harder. He's taking care of himself. He's a better student because of
Right.
it. But
all those things are true, but you can get a concussion from a car accident, you get a concussion from riding your bike. I see people getting concussions from, trampolines and, bouncy houses and places like that you don't even think about it. So they can happen day-to-day life as well as in sports. It's always a tough discussion to have with the parents and trying to figure it out. I think the kids always push to it. I do think football's got a problem. There's a lot less kids involved in youth football than there was a generation ago.
Down.
And so as those groups move up into the high schools are noticing less people who want to play.
can we protect our kids from concussions?
We can protect them to the point. It's, again, making sure you've got a good equipment that fits and that's new and modern. Although most equipment's never been proven to prevent concussions, certainly it has been shown to prevent trauma as far as fractures and major bleeds into the brain. Mouth guards and headgear in soccer, unfortunately, has never really been proven. So we can try to bubble them up and wrap them up a little bit, but it's still unfortunately not been shown to really prevent it.
The doctors involved in this particular case I'm talking about told our sons not to stop playing video games and the whole thing with the light. I mean, what are they talking about?
Well, a lot of kids have a lot of sensitivity to bright lights, and we know and in general from concussions, plus then you're sitting in front of a computer or sitting on your phone trying to do things. The light itself can bother your brain and give you, make you feel tired or make you feel nauseous. Video games are a lot of work for your brain, right? You're processing stuff that's coming in. You've got to do something with your hands. You have to do it really quickly. And that's like running a 100-yard sprint consistently for your legs, but it's for your brain. And so your brain's tired after it does that. And so when it doesn't feel well, that's extra energy you don't need to spend. I usually tell people to leave your brain work for school and stay off the video games for a few months. You'll survive without Fortnite.
Common misconceptions, you will. Common misconceptions about head injuries.
I think in general, again, that you have to go see the doctor right away. If you have some mild symptoms and you're not worsening, it's okay not to
But if you're
run right to the
vomiting in
doctor.
a very violent way.
If you're vomiting more than once, if you've had a seizure at the time of the injury, if you've lost consciousness, or if you're really worsening over the next 3 to 4 hours, those will all be reasons to you should definitely go to the emergency room and get checked out.
How'd you get into this field?
I just was in the right place at the right time. Just as a sports medicine doctor, as concussions got really, the neurologists weren't always treating concussions well. The old system was you didn't pass out, you didn't have amnesia, okay, you can miss a week of school or work and go, of sports and go right back into it. We've learned that's not the case. You really have to treat all these kids individually and wait till everyone's completely better before you put them back on the field. So it was just something that kind of came around and I got interested in doing it.
Before I let you out here, Doctor, the role that parents play in all this, we can't micromanage and control it.
Right.
But to just hope that the team trainer, hopefully there's a doctor, usually not in a school situation.
Well, in the high schools we'll have them at the games, but not at practice.
Right.
Right.
To just go, hey, I'm sure everything will be okay. Not enough, is it?
Yes and no. I mean, there's nothing I can specifically do to make your son's concussion get better.
No, I'm not talking about my son.
No, or any
I'm
son.
talking about anyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can do as physicians to treat your concussion other than, kind of listen to your symptoms, keep you home for a few days to let you rest, let your brain recover.
Hold on, you threw me off on the rest. When it first happened, I said, don't let the kids sleep.
Well, you can let them sleep. All right, so the old style.
Yeah, because that's what I thought, don't let them go to sleep.
The old advice was wake them up every few hours,
That's
make sure
what I
they're
was
okay.
doing.
Yeah, that's old school. All he does is make them more tired and make you more tired the next day.
You ever notice that old school comes with people who are old?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
my son's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, all it does is make everybody tired the
Chris,
next
I'm
day.
trying to keep you awake.
Yeah,
it doesn't help.
Doesn't need it anymore. No, we don't recommend that anymore.
Okay, so in the few seconds we have left, best advice for parents. You don't have to go unless
you don't have to go to the emergency room right away, but you should see a physician the next day, see how they're doing, keep them out of school. I can't tell you how many times they see.
Out of school, how many days?
Depends on how they're feeling. A few days, usually 2 to 3 days.
You can't let them out of every test.
Well, the first few days, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But then you go back.
Yeah, eventually you go back once you start to feel better.
Dr. Jeffrey Rosenberg from Summit Medical Group, particularly dealing with sports medicine and family practice. I want to thank you for joining us and shedding light on an issue. Trust me, it's not just our kids. There are a lot of kids out there and a lot of parents dealing with this.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks.
Well done, doctor. Stay right there.
Yep.
Check out next time, folks. That was great.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the New Jersey Education Association, NJIT, Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, the North Ward Center, and by New Jersey Resources. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus, New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Zalkin. It costs much more to care for an infant than for an older child, and many New Jersey child care centers don't have the funding they need. Because of this, many children in New Jersey don't have their basic needs met. Right from the Start NJ is dedicated to supporting this vulnerable population, children from birth to age 3. We know that the early years are the most critical, and we believe that every child deserves a bright beginning and a healthy future.